In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you how to make your very own zip and grip. So I've done a separate introductory video on all of the features this bag has to offer, the interfacings, and the hardware that is required to make your own zip and grip. So you can go ahead and check that out. I've put a link in the description box below. The zip and grip is going to be great for men, women, and children. You can use your zip and grip as a toiletry bag, cosmetic bag. You can carry art, craft, or sewing supplies in it, or whatever else you can fit inside of your zip and grip and you want to carry along with you. This bag is a simple sew, taking about 4 hours from cutting to a completed bag. It requires minimal hardware and fabric. So let's go ahead and jump right into the video so you can sew yours. Let's go ahead and start by talking about the hardware, zipper tape, and cut pattern pieces that make up the zip and grip. The hardware is available on my website. So we've got 2 rectangle rings that are 1 inch. I have 4 9mm rivets. If you're using only quilting cotton, I'd recommend going with 7 or 8mm rivets. I have a handmade bag tag right here. This is completely optional. These are going to be available on my website in the very near future. This is a great alternative to custom bag tags. So this one here is a nickel one that says Sew Yours, which is my brand. And I have a light gold version of that as well. But because bag tags that are custom are quite costly in the metal, I only purchased those 2 finishes. So this is a great way to supplement whenever you do want to use a different finish on your bag. So we can get those in the rose gold or the gunmetal or the antique brass. So look for these bag tags in the very near future. Sign up for my newsletter. When they launch, I'll go ahead and send you an email. For zipper tape, you're going to need 23 inches of a number 5 zipper tape and a zipper pull. Do not add your zipper pull at this time to this particular piece. So this is the zipper tape that you're going to need for the exterior. You're going to need 2 cuts of number 3 or number 5 zipper tape for your lining. One is going to be 7 1/4 inches and the other is 7 inches. And you can go ahead and add your zipper pulls at this time. I am using number 3 zipper tape. The longer one is going to be the divider zipper pocket, and the shorter one is the lining zipper pocket. Alright, moving on to pattern pieces. I've got 4 zipper tabs right here. I did 2 in vinyl and 2 in quilting cotton. If you're working on a domestic machine, I recommend sticking only with quilting cotton on these pieces because it can get a little bit bulky. So these are the zipper tabs right here. Here is my handle piece, which I've already prepped out. I drew a line down the center and added a row of double-sided tape along each side of the line. You're going to need a strap connector piece, which I've got right here. Ultimately, once we sew this up, we're going to cut it in half to make 2 strap connectors. And the strap connectors are the piece right here. I will show you how to make these. However, on my bag, I'm going to be using my brand new strap anchor templates, which I have right here to the side. And you can see this strap anchor template is the one that I used for this bag right here. So this makes a little bit more of a visually interesting strap connector or a strap anchor. And so I will be making that with my template. The templates come in a set of 5 small, or they come in a set of 5 large, or you can get the entire collection, which is a set of 10. So here are the large ones. This is my bottom panel piece, which is my exterior. I'm using vinyl, and I recommend using some Pellon Peltex for your stabilizer. If you don't have that, you can use some Decovil Heavy, or you could also try foam. I have not personally tried the foam, but that might also work as well. You want something that has more stability to it, like the Peltex. This is my bottom panel, that is my lining. So for that, all cotton pieces, you want to have some woven interfacing ironed onto it. I'm using my Sew Woven fusible interfacing, which you can get on my website. Here are my side panels. So you're going to need 2 exterior, and you're going to need 2 lining panels. You're going to be using some Decovil Light, which is what I recommend for your side panel stabilizer. If you don't have that, then you could try some foam interfacing. And then same thing, we've got woven interfacing ironed on to the quilting cotton pieces. Here we have our wing pieces. You're going to have 2 exterior and 2 lining. You're not going to use any stabilizer on your wing pieces. You want them to remain flexible. And the wing piece is right here on the bag because you want to be able to close it up. Now, if you're working on a domestic machine, then I recommend sticking only with quilting cotton for your wing pieces because it can get a little bit bulky sewing along the sides right here. So go ahead and stick with quilting cotton on domestic machines. Moving on to our divider zipper pocket. 2 exterior and 2 lining pieces. No stabilizer needed. And this is the divider zipper pocket here. Next, you're going to need 2 lining zipper pocket and slip pocket pieces. And those are going to be right here in the bag. So here is the zipper pocket. And then here is our slip pockets. Now on this particular one, I added a little bit of trim. I don't have that in the pattern, but you can certainly go ahead and do that if you'd like. And you're going to need your zipper pocket facing piece right here for the lining zipper pocket. In addition, you are going to need some sort of binding for your bag, and you're going to need to have 38 inches of that binding. Now you can go with a fold over elastic like I have right here. This is 1 inch wide fold over elastic. I now sell this on my website. You could go with some waterproof canvas that you are going to cut yourself at 1 inch wide. I will be using this on my bag today. Or you can purchase some double fold bias tape. You want to go ahead and purchase the 1/2 inch wide. Alright, that is everything. Let's go ahead and start sewing it up. Here I have my handle and my handle connector pieces and all of the tools that I need to go ahead and make these. I'll put links in the description box below so you guys can go ahead and check out those. Here is my base that my husband made for me for my hand press. He hasn't stained it yet, that's why it's unfinished wood, but I am quite liking how I have all of my dies nice and handy right behind it. Okay, so on the handle, I've already gone ahead and removed the paper backing from the double-sided tape, folded these long raw edges in towards the center. I'll do the same for the handle connectors. There's the handle connector prepped. Now it's time to take the handle, fold it in half. We're going to go ahead and clip this. And then I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine, and along this opened end right here, we're going to sew down at 1/8 of an inch. And repeat for the opposite side. And then for our handle connector, we're going to go ahead and sew down the left and the right side at 1/4 of an inch. Alright, I've sewn up my handle and my handle connector, and I've done a little prep work. I chose the Coral Reef thread color that you can get at SayaSwagbags.com. This is a perfect match to rose gold hardware. For my handle connector, I folded it in half and created 2 handle connectors right here. And then let me show you what I have done to my handle. So I took my Rivet Pal, which you can get on my website, and used that to measure 1 1/4 inches down from the short raw edge, and I made a line on both sides. Then I went ahead and chose the raw end of the Rivet Pal, measured that, or put that right up against the short raw end of the handle, and used my pen, you can get this at moremeknow.com, to mark the first and the third hole in the Rivet Pal. Now I know exactly where I need to punch holes for my rivets. I did that already on this one using my hole punch. And now we just need to go ahead and slide over a D-ring, fold it over, and then we're going to insert our rivets. I've got my handle all prepped and ready to go. Now in the pattern, I do this a little bit differently. I actually attach the handle connectors to the D-ring first and then the handle. It's all the same difference in the end. It doesn't really matter. So here we have the handle connector. I have drawn a line down the center, and that's going to let me know where I need to fold over the short raw end. I'm going to meet that to that line right there. And then you're going to fold in the opposite raw end to the center as well. Then you're going to go ahead and clip this into place. And you're going to repeat that for the opposite side. Okay, there we have our handle and handle connectors all prepped. We're going to go ahead and attach those to our side panel in a moment. If you're adding a bag tag, you're going to go ahead and follow along with these steps. Otherwise, you want to go ahead and just skip forward. So I've got my bag tag, my washer, I have a ruler, I've got a marking pen, I have an X-Acto knife, I have an additional cutting mat because I want to go ahead and protect this mat from the X-Acto knife. And depending on the size of your bag tag, you want to measure down from the top center. My bag tags seem to work very well at 1 3/8 of an inch down from this top center. So to find the centers of all of your pattern pieces, just go ahead and fold them in half. And then you're going to go ahead and pinch it right here at the center and cut a small little notch to indicate where the center is. Do that for the top and the bottom. And then you do that for all of your other pieces as well, so that way you have all of your centers marked. Grab your ruler, measure down 1 3/8 of an inch using your marking pen, and make a little dot so you know where your center is. And then you're going to grab your washer and you're going to center that on where the dot is. And then you're going to go ahead and mark wherever you need to place your prongs. Use your X-Acto knife. I've already cut mine, but you're going to go ahead and cut right here where the prongs need to be inserted. Now go ahead and insert the bag tag through the holes that you just cut. Add your washer. Fold in your prongs. And I like to add a piece of duct tape to the back so that way it protects the lining side from these prongs rubbing through over time. And there is our bag tag installed on our side panel. Now it's time for us to go ahead and grab the opposite side panel. So put the one aside that has your bag tag on. Also grab your handle and handle connectors that you prepared earlier. And grab your pattern piece B. As you can see here, I have cut out a rectangle that's indicated on the pattern. You can do that for both sides if you'd like, but it's only necessary to actually cut one out on one side. I just used my X-Acto knife and a straight edge to do that. Now that's going to allow me to lay the pattern piece on top of my fabric. And then with a removable marking pen, you're going to go ahead and just trace along this inside edge of the rectangle like I have already done. Flip the pattern piece over and repeat for the opposite side. Now we have the markings for where we need to place our handle connectors. So the edge of the handle connector right here needs to be placed on the line. And then the opposite side is also going to be placed on the line. So this is the way that your handle should look like when it is secured to your bag. You could try to use some double-sided tape to keep these in place, but personally I like to work with one side at a time, and I just take this over to my sewing machine and I sew it down while I'm kind of holding it into place. What you want to do is you're going to start by sewing just along the rectangle ring right here, making sure to backstitch really well. Then do the opposite side. And you're going to do this at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Then I like to take and go ahead and sew from this end inwards towards the rectangle ring and repeat for the opposite side. You're going to do this for both sides. As I mentioned in the video earlier, instead of using the handle connectors that are indicated in the pattern, I'm going with this particular strap anchor template, and I have already cut out my fabric. I've added some Decavol to the back to strengthen up the vinyl. I've already removed one of the handle connectors, and all I have to do is go ahead and insert this, fold it over, and then we're going to clip it into place. Repeat for the opposite side. I've got my strap anchors now on my rectangle rings, and I'm going to move forward just like I did with the ones in the pattern and place these and sew them down. All right, my handle is now attached, and I've added a rivet to the center of my handle connectors. That can also be done if you are going with the handle connectors in the pattern. Just go ahead and add a rivet here to the middle. If you're working with rivets that have a longer post, like I've got right here, a little tip is to add a little bit of foam interfacing in between, and that allows you to fill in the gap there and clamp down appropriately on your rivets. Now we're going to move on to constructing the zipper pocket in the lining. So you're going to need your side panel, that is the lining, and you're going to need pattern piece B again, your zipper pocket facing piece, your zipper pocket lining piece with your 7-inch zipper, some double-sided tape as well. The first thing you're going to do is place the 7-inch zipper along the 7-inch side of your zipper pocket facing, which is the longer side. We're going to take this over to the sewing machine and base stitch this into place with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Next, what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and take the opposite side and place this right side up along the right side of the lining pocket, just like this. And basically we're creating a tube here. So let me go ahead and clip this into place and I'll show you. So see right there, we've got the inside of our pocket. So I'll take this over to the sewing machine and again, base stitch this into place with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I've set my zipper pocket aside. Let's go ahead and place our zipper pocket facing wrong side up on top of the lining side panel. And you can go ahead and use your pattern piece here as a guide to where you're going to go ahead and place it. If you fold the pattern piece in half, you can make a mark then with your removable marking pen and just draw along this top edge a little mark and the bottom edge to represent exactly where you're placing your zipper pocket facing. Alright, I've got my zipper pocket sitting over here to the side. We're now going to go ahead and work with our zipper pocket facing, and I've got my pattern piece B right here. This is going to show you exactly where you need to place your zipper pocket facing on your lining side panel right here. And basically all it is 3/8 of an inch down from the top center. So we can grab our ruler and measure down 3/8 of an inch. And we're going to go ahead and place this. I'm going to go ahead and find the center of my zipper pocket facing. Just need to trim up this inner facing a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to do 3/8 of an inch down. So that is where I need to place my zipper pocket facing, and I'm just going to go ahead and take this over to the sewing machine, and as you can see here it is wrong side up, so right sides are together, and we're going to go ahead and sew along the inner rectangle right here. I've now sewn on my zipper pocket facing to my side panel, and I also cut a line down the center about 1/2 of an inch away from the stitched edge and stopping 1/2 of an inch away from the other stitched edge. Then I went in and kind of cut a V shape here, or a Y shape if you can see that. The next thing that we want to do is we're going to go ahead and pull this through the hole that we just created and press it with an iron. Now the zipper pocket facing is pulled through to the opposite side. I've also added some double-sided tape to both sides of the zipper. I've removed it from the top side. You want to make sure that your zipper pull is to the left when closed when we're placing this. So let's go ahead and center the zipper through the opening. I'm going to do that off camera because it's a little bit hard to see from this angle. Alright, I have now centered the zipper inside of the window, removing the paper backing from the top and the bottom and securing it all into place. I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine and I am going to sew along the top straight edge here at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. You do not want to sew the bottom edge just yet. The top is now stitched. The next thing we want to do is we're going to stitch the bottom, but we need to make sure that this pocket is not in the way or we're going to go ahead and close it up. So we want to flip this to the top, so that way it looks like this from the wrong side. And take it over to our sewing machine and now sew along this straight edge. The bottom edge is now sewn. Then I went ahead and flipped the pocket to the correct down position and I closed up the short sides right here. Now we want to go ahead and close up the pocket itself by flipping the side panel out of the way and stitching down the side here as well as this side here. Sides are now closed up. So what I want to do now is trim away any excess. I also like to trim the excess from the zipper pocket facing so that's not in the way when we are sewing the bag later on. Okay, there you have your zipper pocket and your lining. Alright, well, let's make our slip pocket. So grab your slip pocket piece with your woven interfacing ironed onto it. Take your 7-inch side and we're going to match those right sides together. Clip it into place. And then take this over to your sewing machine and you're going to go ahead and sew this with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance down the right side the bottom side, then the left and the bottom, but you're going to leave about a 3-inch gap here at the bottom because we need to go ahead and turn this right side out later. So I've gone ahead and sewn that up. Next is go ahead and trim down your seam allowances to about 1/8 of an inch, especially around your corners right here. And then you're just going to go ahead and turn it right side out, making sure that you poke out your corners. Bring this over to your iron and press it flat. All right, here I have the remaining lining side panel, and I have my slip pocket that I just sewed. I went ahead and top stitched along the folded edge here at 1/8 of an inch, so we still have that opening here at the bottom. I've centered this on the side panel, and I've placed it 1 inch down from the top center. Now I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine, sew the left side, the bottom, and the right side at 1/8 of an inch, and then I'm going to go ahead and sew down the center to create 2 small slip pockets. Alright, let's go ahead and recap what we've done so far. We went ahead and constructed our exterior panels by adding our handle and handle connectors. We also added our bag tag to the opposite exterior panel. We added a zipper pocket to one of our lining panels, as well as a slip pocket to the remaining lining panel. So let's go ahead and build the divider zipper pocket now. So go ahead and grab your exterior and lining zipper pocket pieces, divider zipper pocket pieces right here, your 7 1/4 inch zipper, and your zipper tabs right here. So the first thing that you want to do is you're going to go ahead and add your zipper tabs to both sides of your zipper. So I've already done it on this one side right here. And the way that I did that is I went ahead and took the exterior piece. You're going to match up the raw end of the zipper with the 1 1/4 inch length side. You're going to base stitch this with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Then you're going to come in and place the opposite one right sides down on top of the wrong side of the zipper, just like this, and you're going to go ahead and sew that with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Once you go ahead and sew those on, just like I have done right here, turn that right side out, and take this over to your sewing machine, and you're going to go ahead and top stitch with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. After that, we want to go ahead and trim this down. If you are working with a number 3 zipper tape like I am, the zipper tape is not quite as long as the zipper tab, so we just need to make it even. For the next 3 minutes, I have to do a voiceover because apparently I forgot to turn my microphone on. So here I've gone ahead and base stitched around the edges of the zipper tabs with about 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I also went ahead and found the center of my zipper tape by folding it into half and then making those 2 little marks right there in the center. And then I found the center of my divider zipper pocket exterior panel there. And we're going to go ahead and place that zipper right sides together with the divider zipper pocket exterior panel into place. And you're going to go ahead and base stitch that into place with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now that I've got that sewn together, we want to go ahead and clip down the excess that overhangs on the zipper tabs here to make them even with the divider zipper pocket panel. And then go ahead and grab your lining divider zipper pocket piece. Place it right sides together, sandwiching the zipper in between. Clip this into place and sew this with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Here I've got that done. I'm turning it right side out. If you're working with all quilting cotton, you can take this over to the iron and press it flat. Otherwise, go ahead and finger press. We want to go ahead and top stitch this with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now that I've got this top stitch, the next step is to go ahead and repeat the same exact process on the opposite side of the zipper tape. Here is my top stitched divider zipper pocket. We want to open up our zipper, and then we're going to go ahead and match the exterior pieces together, clip those into place. You're going to want to clip the lining pieces together as well. Once you've got that clipped together, go ahead and sew down the exterior bottom at 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. You are not going to be sewing the sides of the divider zipper pocket closed, so leave those open. And then you're going to go ahead and sew down the lining bottom piece at a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, but you want to leave about a 3 to 4 inch gap in the center so that you can turn this right side out. All right, I have gone ahead and turned my divider zipper pocket right side out, closed up the opening there in the lining. Now we want to pull the lining and exterior flush here at the sides, clip it into place. And we're going to base stitch both sides closed with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now that I've got that done, this is what my divider zipper pocket looks like. And we're going to go ahead and set this aside. It's time to construct our wings. I have already done one right here, and let me explain what I've done. I placed my lining and my exterior wing pieces right sides together, clip them into place. Then you're going to go ahead and sew these on along the top edge and the bottom edge with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Once you do that, go ahead and trim down your seam allowances to about an 1/8 of an inch, turn it right side out, and then you're going to go ahead and top stitch at an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Both of my wings are now constructed. I also went ahead and base stitch closed the sides of each wing. And I added a clip here to the widest side. This is the top side, so this is going to help me remember that this is the top side. That way you don't insert this upside down whenever you're attaching it to your lining panel. So now we want to go ahead and grab our lining panel that has the zipper pocket installed in it. And we need to measure up 1 inch from this edge right here. So I've just got it laying right here on my cutting mat. And I'm going to take the tip of the corner here and put it at this line, and then I can draw a little mark to indicate where that 1 inch mark is. Repeat this for the other side. This is going to tell us where we need to place our wings. Okay, you may not see that on camera, but I can see it. Okay, so now what we want to do is you're going to grab one wing with the top side up right here. You're going to match that with the little 1 inch mark that you went ahead and just drew. And you're matching the bottom edge right here, and you're going to clip this into place. Base stitch this with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, then repeat for the opposite side. I've removed the little clips at the top because we don't need those anymore since it's already secured on. And we want to grab our 23-inch zipper, which I have right here. I have already made a little mark with my removable marking pen within the seam allowance to indicate where the center of my zipper tape is. To do that, you just need to fold your zipper tape in half and then kind of pinch the end here and make a little mark with your pen. Do that for both sides. It's really important that you do that step so that way when you're doing your final construction, your bag is sitting evenly and there's nothing that's kind of twisted out of place. So once you've done that, get your lining panel back. You should have already cut a notch here at the top center and the bottom center. We're going to go ahead and match the marking on the zipper tape to the center here notch. Clip it into place. And you're going to go ahead and continue clipping all around. When you get to the corner, you do not want to cut any notches in your zipper tape because that will end up fraying over time and then it'll ruin your bag. You also don't want to pull on your zipper tape because if you do that, the zipper tape might end up rippling or puckering and that does not look very pretty. So, okay. So I'm going to continue clipping here. Okay, now you're going to see that the zipper tape is going beyond the actual lining panel itself, right here. Leave the zippers long like this. This is going to aid us in adding the zipper pull later on, so you want to keep it long. We'll trim that down later on. Now take this over to your sewing machine and you're going to sew this in place, or I should say base stitch it in place with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I personally like to start sewing at the center here, down one side, then I flip this whole thing over on my sewing machine and then I sew the opposite side on. I like to do it that way because it makes sure that I don't have any shifting going on since I'm kind of going around a curve here. That's how I like to do it, but you can do it in one full swoop if you want to. Now I have that base stitched into place. We want to grab the exterior panel that has the handle already attached to it. If you didn't already do so, you need to find your centers on the top and the bottom and clip a little notch, which I've already done. Go ahead and place this right sides together with the lining piece. Your zipper is going to be sandwiched in between, and just like we clipped into place the zipper, we are going to go ahead and clip the lining into place. And I'm just trying to find my centers right here. Continue clipping just like we did a moment ago, and then you're going to take this over to your sewing machine and you're going to sew this on with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Again, I like to start from the center and work my way around, flip it over, and then work and do the other side. All right, now that has been sewn together, I want to just reiterate, do not cut down your seam allowances here, because that will then cause you to cut your zipper tape and it will fray later on. So we are just going to go ahead and turn this right side out. And you're going to take this over to your sewing machine and you're going to go ahead and top stitch this with a 1/8 inch seam allowance, making sure that you press out your seams really well. If you are using quilting cotton only, you can press it with your iron. Otherwise, you're just going to go ahead and finger press. When you're doing your top stitching, make sure that your wing is out in this direction. That way you are not top stitching your wing down in this manner. You don't want to do that. You want to have it like this. Okay, we've got that top stitched. I also went ahead and base stitched along the bottom edge right here, and this is how everything is looking. Now it's time to grab the lining panel that has the slip pockets right here. And just like we did earlier, we're going to go ahead and measure up 1 inch from the edge right here. Now lay your wing on top, matching that bottom edge with the 1 inch mark, clip into place. Okay, so this is where we are at now. You can take a look at how it looks like. So same thing that we did earlier, just base stitch this into place. All right, we have now base stitched the opposite side of the wing into place. So this is what everything is looking like at the moment. So now all we got to do is repeat the same thing that we did to this side over here to this side. And the easiest way to do that is to now remove the opposite side of the zipper tape. So we're going to detach that. And then we're going to take the zipper tape that is right side up. We can visually see the center marking that we made earlier. We're going to lay that on top of the opposite lining piece here. Clip this into place like we did earlier. Base stitch this with an 1/8 inch seam allowance. So we kind of have to just tuck our wings and everything in like this. All right, we've got that base stitched into place. Now we want to grab the remaining exterior panel. That's going to be the one with the bag tag if you added a bag tag. And just like we did earlier, let's go ahead and clip this into place and sew this on with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. All right, this is now sewn together. Let's turn this right side out. Go ahead and press these seams flat either with your iron or finger pressing it. Come in and top stitch at an 1/8 inch seam allowance and base stitch the bottom at an 1/8 inch seam allowance, just like you did the opposite side. All right, we've now gone ahead and top stitched and base stitched. So this is what the bag is currently looking like. It is time for us to go ahead and grab our bottom panels right here. And we're going to go ahead and put those wrong sides together like I've already done. And you want to go ahead now and base stitch along the outside edge with an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Now let's go ahead and attach the side panels to the bottom panel. You should have already clipped notches here along the center portion, so the top and bottom and the sides, it's all the same difference. And we're going to begin by taking the right side of the exterior side panel, matching it up with the right side of the exterior bottom piece. And we're going to center the center notches right here. Clip this into place. Flip this over to the opposite side. And then I've already done this, but you want to clip 2 to 3 notches that on your side panel here to go around the edge here, so it'll help to smooth that around the edge. Repeat for all 4 of those corners. All right, so the sides should look like this. Your zipper tape is just going to come and meet at the center side notch right here that you clipped. And then the opposite side will do the same thing. So to sew on your side panels to your bottom panel, what you want to do is you're going to come in and you're going to start sewing about 1 inch away from the zipper tape. So starting about here, sew around at 3/8 of an inch, all the way around the bag, stopping at about 1 inch away from the zipper tape here. Repeat the same for the other side, starting at 1 inch away from the zipper tape and stopping 1 inch away from this zipper tape. All right, we've now got that sewn on. It's time for us to turn it right side out because we need to add our zipper pull. You can also check your seams to make sure that everything looks good before moving forward. If you missed anything, you would want to go back and make any corrections. Okay, and let's take a look what it would look like. So push in your wings right there. And we want to go ahead and have the zipper pocket facing furthest away from you like this with the zipper pull here to the left. And we're going to go ahead and slide on the zipper tape here to the right side. So pull the zipper tape out. And you're basically going to have to go ahead and kind of close the bag up to get that to go on. All right, when you're coming to this end, you can go ahead and keep those zipper tails tucked inside for the moment, but be careful not to zip it too far because you don't want to accidentally unzip it. All right, so here is what our zip and grip is looking like thus far. Everything seems to be lining up very well. I want to unzip it. And I want to go ahead and take this to my sewing machine right now and just do a couple of stitches right here to make sure that my zipper pull isn't going to fall off. All right, now that that is on, I want to go ahead and turn this wrong side out again. All right, so this is the end that has the zipper pull. We're going to do that in a moment. We first want to go ahead and sew up the tail right here, the zipper tape, and connect the stitches that you started 1 inch away from here and here. And so what you want to do is you're going to go ahead and get these so that they're basically matching end to end like this and sew straight across. If you need to, you can go ahead and staple this into place within the seam allowance. All right, that is now sewn, so now we can go ahead and cut off the zipper tape tails from that side. And here is the hardest part of this bag. It is sewing up this side because this zipper pull is going to fight you, and it's going to try to get into the way of creating that 3/8 of an inch seam allowance here from the 1 inch spot that you stopped to the 1 inch part that you started right here. So you're going to have to do a little bit of finagling to get it to stay out of the way. And what I recommend is grabbing your stapler and adding 2 to 3 staples right along here. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go ahead and kind of close the bag just like this and reach inside, grab that zipper pull and essentially close it up a little bit. So see, I have it out of the way some. And then we're going to go ahead and get everything to lay like it should. I'm going to grab my stapler and I'm going to staple right here, a few staples. Okay, let's go ahead and now stitch this up. Again, if you have a stiletto, so let me grab my stiletto. When you've got this on your sewing machine, reach in from the inside and try to pull that zipper pull out of the way. And you can also use the stiletto to kind of push it out of the way as you're sewing. Okay, we are on the home stretch. Let's go ahead and remove the staples that we placed here. And we can go ahead and cut down the zipper tape. Gonna make that just a little more even here. And it's time to turn this right side out if you'd like to check your work. I'm not gonna worry about it because I've already taken a peek. Everything is stitched really good right here, as well as the opposite side. So we can go ahead now and add our double fold bias binding, waterproof canvas binding, or fold over elastic, whatever it is that you're using. Now it's completely up to you where you want to go ahead and start and stop your binding. I personally want to go ahead and do it just about where that 1 inch mark was that we started sewing on one of the sides. And I'm just going to go ahead and go around the bag, fold this in half, and clip it on the bag. Alright, I have now added the binding to my bag and clipped everything into place. So I'm going to go ahead and take this over to my sewing machine and sew this around with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I've added my magnetic seam allowance guide. You guys can get those on my website if you'd like. It makes a world of difference whenever you are sewing. You can get your seam allowances perfect. And make sure you have your stiletto handy, as it helps a lot whenever you're going around, especially the curves and binding. And we're just going to go ahead and sew this with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. One other thing that I wanted to point out is make sure that your thread color is matching your bias binding or your waterproof canvas binding. You don't really want to see the stitches on the binding. If your binding doesn't look good around the corners, especially with waterproof canvas, that's completely normal. And I really don't worry about binding as much as I used to when I started, because if you honestly look at a store-bought bag and look at their binding, it is not perfect at all. You don't see it because it's kind of squished inside of the bag itself. Okay, we've got our binding on now. Now it's time to turn it right side out. You can go ahead and kind of roll your seams with your fingers here. Okay, and then the last thing that we need to do to put this bag together is we need to add our divider zipper pocket right here. So we again want to have the lining zipper pocket facing furthest away from us with the zipper pull to the left. We also want to make sure that our divider zipper pocket has the zipper pull to the left when closed. All we got to do is pick one side, doesn't matter which one you start with. We're going to go ahead and find the center of our wing, and all I do is kind of fold this in half, make sure that it's all kind of even here, and there is our center. So I kind of just hold on to that, and then I insert my divider zipper pocket. And I want to make sure that the top is lined up with the top of the wing. I'm going to clip this into place. And I want to make sure that I get the bottom in that fold nicely. Now I'll take this over to the sewing machine and stitch this with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I also wanted to point out that it is best to go ahead and sew this up from the bottom towards the top, because there is some additional bulkiness right here, so your machine will go much more smoothly if you start from the bottom and go work towards the top. Okay, there is my divider zipper pocket installed in my zip and grip. Let's go ahead and close her up. All right, here is my zip and grip all completed. I can't wait to see photos of your zip and grip. Please go ahead and share them in our Facebook group. I'll put a link in the description box below, or you can go ahead and email me at contact@sewyours.com if you don't have Facebook, because I love seeing all of the bags you make with my sewing patterns. You can go ahead and purchase the pattern at sewyours.com. Now that I've sewn mine, it's time to sew yours.